Ruminations of Redrum. I'm your host, Kyle.
Oh
Hey.
God! All right.
And today with me, I have two co hosts the final girl, Georgie.
Hello. When you sang that K, you know what I just thought of?
Hmm.
Just kind of banger actually. You know that every kiss begins with K, sort of. You
Every
know.
kiss
Yeah.
begins with
Thank you
K.
so. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Every kill begins with K too.
Oh, possibly a new intro for me. I may steal that.
That's fine. I
And
get credit because I just said it. So it's cool.
that's true. And our second co host today, joining us for part three to end out the trilogy of Fear Street, we have the new blood, Brendan.
Hello. Oh my God. Hello, hello. Wow, what an entrance.
Welcome, Brendan.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this movie and
Oh.
change my score for the entire series.
We will get to that.
Wow.
We will
Yeah.
get to that for sure because
Um,
that is a conversation that needs to be had. Georgie, what have you been up to lately in this past week or so?
Working, working, dude, making that money, making that bank.
Have you watched anything, played anything, read anything?
I've been playing the Skyward Sword remake. Um, I've been watching a lot of Julian Solomita playing Dead by Daylight. That's kind of like a guilty pleasure right now because he's just hilarious.
Ooh.
I've been playing Dead by Daylight. That's pretty much it, other than work and like preparing to spread my wings and fucking move.
Yeah, you're moving out soon. How's that going? Because this is your first time, like, moving out of the nest, right?
No, this would be my second time moving out. My
Oh, that's
first
right.
time moving out alone, which is kind of much nicer than I thought it would be. Like, I feel like I'm worried about getting lonely and, like, getting scared, but at the same time, I'm just so thankful to not have to deal with any fucking roommates. What? You know?
Yeah, when you first move out on your own, I don't know, for me, I guess it's different for everybody, but it was like it was amazing because I lived with roommates for quite a while, and it had its good moments, but it also had a lot of bad moments too. So, being able to like redecorate your house, do it however you
Oh,
want, kind of
yeah, dude. I'm
just do
so
everything your
excited.
way. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm super
100%.
excited to decorate because I'll have a 1.5 bath. So, like, I'll have 2 different toilet rooms to decorate, and I'm just gonna fucking pop off. I'm so excited for that.
I thought you were gonna say you have 2 different toilets. I was like, I don't know what the purpose of that is,
I mean, I
but
do. I will.
oh,
I will have
oh,
2
okay.
t
Well,
I will have 2 toilets.
I'm claiming 1. You'll have to,
Okay.
you'll have to keep us in the loop about how that's going. Brendan,
Yeah.
how are you doing? What have you been up to? Have you been watching, playing, reading, writing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so I'm doing great actually. I spent the past week on Cape Cod. That
Ooh,
was very lovely. My first vacation in about a year. It was much needed. We just kind of had a haunted beach house actually that was right on the beach. So that was lovely. I've been divvying up my time on the beach reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The
okay.
the book is actually pretty damn great so far. And wait, hold on, let me just get it so I don't fuck up the title. I've also been reading the new book by David Sodergren and Steve Strud called The Navajo Nightmare. Uh, that's really. Are you guys familiar with David Sodergren?
No, I'm not.
He's a writer from the UK. He's absolutely fantastic. I did an interview with him once before. He's such a lovely human being. His his publishing company is called Paperbacks and Pugs. Um,
Hmm,
and his writing partner is a pug.
I'm in already.
His the pug's name is Boris, and he's one
I
of
love it.
the cutest dogs I've ever seen. Yeah, so I've that's what I've been reading, and I've also been not horror related, but I just bought Roller Coaster Tycoon 3,
Hell
uh,
yeah.
and I've been playing that. That game is a blast from the
Oh
past,
my god,
and
dude. I love that for you. I think all of the older tycoon games like Zoo Tycoon, Roller Coaster Tycoon, I can't think of any other ones. So underrated, so underappreciated for their time,
oh,
during their time.
completely, yeah.
Dude, back in the day, I spent countless hours on Roller Coaster Tycoon. It was one of
Yes.
the only games I had installed, so we had, like, the family computer, and it actually kinda looked like the old computer that was in Part 1, 1994 that he plays on or that he types on. It looked just like that, and, like, the only 2 games I had on that thing was The Sims 2 and Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh god, dude, The Sims
Yeah,
2. Ugh. Both of those
yeah,
games are so good and were not appreciated during their time. Not appropriately, at least.
but okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. Me personally, I have
Yeah,
made some
Kyle, what have you been doing?
purchases. I'll tell you, Georgie. I've made some purchases. I've never seen any of the Omen movies,
Oh,
and I bought the collection because it was on sale on
Ooh,
Amazon.
wah, wah, wah. Okay, well, mhm.
So I have all of those, and then I also bought the Universal Monster movie collection not too long ago.
oh,
So
that
I'm
that
still
that thick pack that has, like, all of them.
everything.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it has everything, and I'm a huge fan of that shit. So I'm looking forward to really going through. We're gonna watch Me and my girlfriend are gonna watch Creature from the Black Lagoon here very soon, just to start it off with that one and go from there because there's a lot she hasn't seen too. So I'm looking forward to it. Other than that, video game related, I just play a lot of Apex Legends, but that's not horror related. A lot of
Wait,
Apex Legends
on Xbox or PlayStation?
on PC.
Okay,
Oh.
alright, fair.
Yeah, yeah, on PC.
Because I was like, I
Occasionally,
never see you online, bro, but that's why.
yeah, no, occasionally I'll hop over to the PS5, but it's crossplay now, so a couple of my friends that have it on console, I can still play on my PC and still chat with them and stuff, so it's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
Wait, wait, can I just jump in real quick with one thing?
shoot,
Uh, the, how far have you gotten in the Omen series?
I've never seen a single one.
Oh,
So he
okay,
hasn't
well,
even started it.
Haven't started it.
the, random connection, but the first girl that I dated when I moved to New Jersey, she was actually roommates with the kid that played Damien in the 2000 whatever remake.
Whoa,
So,
interesting.
random connection.
It's pretty cool. We'll have to get him on the cast. I'm just
Right,
kidding.
well, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that connection might be severed now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just a little
you
bit.
know, too little, too late. But tonight's a good night to enjoy the fruits of the land. Am I right, people? Because tonight we are reviewing Fear Street Part 3, 1666 slash 1994 Part 2.
Woo!
So
Um,
I'm going to direct this towards Brendan first. Brendan, we are on the final part of Fear Street. This is it. Our journey has come to a close. But right now, we're just going to talk specifically about 1666. What are your thoughts? When did you watch it? And what do you think?
Okay. So, I know that on the last episode, I wasn't the biggest fan of 84, 76.
78.
Oh my god.
Dude, you're totally good. Who cares, right? Who
So
cares?
I got a little inebriated before watching 1666,
Yes, okay.
Ooh.
and it was a fucking blast. So
Oh.
after I watched all of 1666, I mean, that and the part part 2 of '94, I I decided that I kind of wanted to watch it in order, so I rewatched the first half of 1666, and then I watched 78, and then I watched 94, and then 94 part 2.
Damn, so you
Uh,
went back and rewatched them chronologically?
I did,
Holy
and
shit.
I I think that the reason that I was kind of shitting on 78, I think, is because the disjunctiveness between going from 94 to 78, I there was just something about that I didn't jive with, I guess. But watching it as like I kind of viewed it as a mini series, so watching it in that order, I was just absolutely beyond thrilled. I change my Should I change my score of 78 now or later?
No, we'll do it later.
Okay. My score has changed for all of this, and when
Damn.
yeah, we'll get into it, but I this may be one of my new favorite trilogies.
Whoa!
New
That is
favorite
a
trilogies.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't really know what your other favorite trilogies are, but that's like a bold statement.
Well, I mean, Human Centipede's number 1. No,
Okay,
I'm
well.
kidding, I'm kidding, I'm
I was
kidding.
gonna say now it makes so much sense why you were so excited that I might have been in that movie.
Oh, I
Uh,
thought you were gonna say now it makes so much sense why you like this trilogy so much, but never mind.
So, okay, so Brennan, you did like 1666 then,
so
and
much.
okay, so much. Now, you said it made 7 we're just gonna kinda don't give me the full scope, but what about it chronologically like, the chronological view of it made 78 a little better?
Um, so, if I can just backtrack just the tiniest bit, for one of the articles that I just wrote, it was about a French show, about witches called Marianne. And then after that, I kinda went on a weird witch kick where I rewatched both Suspiria's,
Mm.
I'm blanking on The Craft, even The Craft remake, which I did not like. So I've been on a witch kick
Mm.
recently, and yeah, I don't know, there was just something. Oh, and the Vivitch as well, I rewatched that.
Yes,
Um,
Vavitch, bitch.
so, I mean, obviously, 1666 does not compare to the Vivitch at all. But no, 1666, it's fun, it's refreshing, and I think that it one of the things that I really appreciate about it, and this is gonna sound pretentious, kind of looking at it from like a filmmaking standpoint. It feels like a very accessible witchcraft film. So it would be something that, because I mean, it's not obscene. Yeah, it's rated R, but it's not obscene. It's not over the top. So I think it could be a nice segue into that subgenre for people who aren't too familiar with it, who don't want to immediately watch the Vivitch and get, their mind fucked completely. I think it's a nice segue into that subgenre, and watching it chronologically, 1666 is somewhat intense, and then 78 is a bit more mellow, it's a bit more chilled out. It has the 80s or the 70s 80s slasher vibe, but it still has that witch element to it. And then 1994 just completes it full circle. So I think that if I was viewing it chronologically, I think that it's a nice entrance. And I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself, but it's a good entrance into the subgenre of witchcraft.
And non-chronologically, just being the movie it is on its own.
Yeah, I just think that non-linearly, if I
Hmm.
want to take it that way, I just think that it has less weight that way. Um, this sounds tedious, but if I was going to recommend it to someone who hasn't viewed it yet, I would recommend them to start with the first half of 1666, then go to 78. I'd recommend people to watch it chronologically because I just think that it's a more it's more entertaining if you look at it as a chronological miniseries rather than a trilogy of movies.
Georgie, 1666. What are your thoughts?
Oh my god, dude. I okay, Brendan, when you rewatched them all chronologically, were you still feeling it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay,
I
okay, okay.
like, I should also just mention, obviously, it doesn't make sense. When you watch it chronologically, it doesn't make you don't know who Dina
Oh
is,
no.
you
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
know who Sam is, you don't know who,
I
Peter or
mean,
Tim or whatever their
yeah,
names
yeah.
are. So I I think I do kind of retract a tiny bit of what I said,
I'm sorry.
but,
Was there even a Peter or a Tim?
uh, what was
Peter or
Simon,
Tim?
Simon.
I
Oh,
just
okay.
thought it was funny that the 2 like, generic male names you called out were just, like,
Peter
not
and
even
Ti
in the movie. I just love that. I'm sorry.
Tommy,
Okay.
it's Tommy.
Yeah, and to
Tommy,
be fair, I
Jesus
did say
Christ.
last cast, I did say Tommy Jarvis, and it is actually in the IMDb facts that, he and Alice were both named after Friday the 13th characters. So, once again, I am clairvoyant. Um, I think that these movies are better, ladies and gentlemen, and all of y'all in between, if you fucking drink alcohol before watching, because I was stone cold sober when I watched 1666, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, turn it off,
Oh.
please." Please, for the love of God. Like, towards the end, when it was, like, a happy ending, I was and now that I'm drinking again, I'm feeling less judgmental than when I watched it. I'm like, "Okay, like, it went places," and there there was definitely some just brutal scenes of, like, murder and mayhem, which is, like, sick, that's what I want. But then there was, like, other parts that were, like, so cheesy or just foolish to me, like, this is gonna sound really bitchy, and I'm so sorry, but when Dina was giving her rally speech at the end of the movie back when they were in 1994 Part 2, um, I wanted to turn it off. I was like, "Please stop talking.
It's because
We
Dina
don't."
sucks, all right? It's because Dina sucks. I'm glad it all wrapped around and it
I was
all came
literally
full head to the fact that Dina just sucks, okay?
I was
Continue. Sorry,
literally
go ahead.
like, "No, you're good." I was literally like, "Please stop talking, like, we don't need to hear about how we shady siders are taking a stand, blah, blah." I was like, "I love you guys, like, congratulations, you are sticking it to the man." I mean, she literally stabbed the sheriff in the eye, which is like, "Fucking baller, you go, girl. Girl power." But also, please stop with the rally speeches. I am not 15 years old, I am an adult, I don't need to hear this. So, bottom line, I mean, now I feel bad because I don't wanna hurt Brendan's feelings, but,
Well, no,
like
I think what you said just kind of accentuates my point. Like, I don't think that in hindsight, I don't think that these movies were meant for us. I think that it's a really good initiation for younger people.
Bingo.
Um,
that's fair, yeah.
so
That is how young are we talking? Like 13, maybe
I would
12?
if
Because
they
they're
have their
rated R,
I
you
don't think
know?
I don't think age is the real thing. I think it's just, it's a gateway. Like, it's people that are unfamiliar with the themes and, the normal breadcrumb trail of a horror movie DNA kinda thing. It's all right. I'm not worried about hurting anybody's feelings, so I'll just tell you exactly what I think of the movie, all right?
Oh my
Um,
god, okay.
so I saw 1666 twice, and it had the same thing happen to me when I was watching 1994, to where the second time I watched it, I liked it less the second time.
You gotta stop
Um,
watching these movies twice.
Dude, you're telling me. I'm probably never
Just
gonna
w
watch them again, to be
w
fair,
no,
so
I won't either. Sorry, everyone, but, one and done, that's all you need.
So I actually thought 1666 was pretty interesting. I like the period the period piece stuff, and I'm glad they kind of took a long like okay, let me back up. I don't like how they use the same cast in 1666 when it had no story relevance at all.
I agree with
So,
that.
what set this whole movie up from the trailers is that she was getting transported back, and it set it up to where like she was going to have control over this situation, and those people, her friends, her family were also transferred back, and that wasn't it at all. So, I don't know why they used the same characters. I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more if it was an entirely new cast telling Sarah Fier's story with
Yeah.
actually Sarah Fier acting out what was going on.
Yeah.
So that was my first main gripe of the movie is when it took the turn where it had no point at all that the same actors were used. So with that being said, um, I thought that 1666 was mostly entertaining to the point to where it it kept me intrigued to see what was gonna happen, and when it switched over to part 2, 1994, I actually liked the way that transition happened, and then from the 1994 part 2, it just kinda fell apart even more for me, and I think it dragged on way too long at the end. I think this movie is, like, 30 minutes too long. Um, but
Honestly, I kind of agree with you on there.
why okay, so why do you guys okay, why did they use the same characters? Like, do you think it was for like because they weren't transferred back or like, they
The way
didn't go
that the
back to this
Netflix
time. Like,
summary said, yeah.
why do you guys personally think here, I'll throw it over to you, Brendan. Why do you think they used the same cast in this movie?
Um, I don't know. I think it would have made some sense if they just used Dina
Correct.
because, she was the one that was seeing all of this shit go down. But the rest of the cast, I don't know. That made no sense to me. Um, it was less characters for me to have to remember. Um, so I guess that's good. Um, but I think that maybe it was so that Dina could relate to the strife that Sarah Fear was going through. But it was kind of half-assed. It made no sense. Maybe they wanted to hire less people.
Literally,
Just trying to
quite
save those
literally.
Netflix bucks. Um,
I mean, that's a
What
fair
do you think,
point.
Georgie?
Honestly, I feel like it was probably so they didn't have to pay anybody else. I'm not like I fully agree with Brendan on that. This is gonna sound really kind of millennial-ish of me, even though I'm not a millennial. Um, in the TV show Friends, there were multiple times where they had other actors that were lookalikes of the main characters stand in as like background or like side profile or whatever, so they wouldn't have to pay the actual actors. Like
and also
even when it used
Matt
to be on
Perry was
Netflix.
just probably too fucking high.
Yeah, or
I love
drunk.
that for him. I love that. Um, but, like, I remember when it used to be back on Netflix, there was this one scene where, like, they show, like, a side part of Monica, and it's literally not even Monica, it's not Courtney Cox, it's some random woman with, like, the same hairstyle as her, and I'm just like, "Okay, sure." So, I honestly kind of agree with Brendan that they probably didn't wanna hire any more actors. I think that it was also for, like, the clickbait of the movie where, like, Dina is supposed to be Sarah Fear, and she is, but she doesn't have any, like you said, no choice over her actions, no way to impact the way that history played out. And I agree with you that like the few scenes that there were when Sarah Fear was a different actress and it wasn't Kiana, I wanted to see more of that because that girl
Yeah,
was
me
like
too.
the way her eyes, like, pierced my soul, I was like, "That's Seraphir, not Dina. I don't wanna see." Like, I thought that, like I mean, it's the way Seraphir's life actually played out, but the way that Dina, I guess, um, portrayed, like, some of the aspects, like, her whole thing with Hannah Miller and, like, fighting for love, and then we're not actually witches, but if they want witches, like, we'll make a deal with the devil, and then none of that shit goes out like that. Those parts of it, I was like, "Okay, cool, like, I'm into this, like, this is kind of dope." But other than
Yeah.
that, I didn't really like to see Dina as Sarah Fear. I wanna see Sarah Fear, you know?
I also tried to make some justifications for it myself when I was watching it. And I was like, you know what, maybe they didn't all get transported back, but maybe it's reflecting that way to show like the personality traits that match to like people that were back then kind of thing. But then Slater didn't even make sense because then Slater was, you know, the nicest, kindest guy in the 70s, and then he was like a crazy psychotic drunk in this time period. So that theory didn't make sense either. But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. It goes back. I feel like within these 3 episodes, I'm really repeating myself a lot. And it's they all feel very lazy and they all feel very disjointed. And it's like there's no clear vision of what they were trying to do. They were just like mimicking a lot of other things and properties. Um, I will say that this does kind of change my score of 1978 a little bit, and I almost like 1978 less
Hmm.
because I feel like 1978 almost is such filler for this three-part series. Like it almost doesn't even need to happen. Like there's very little context that's provided in 1978 that even serves a huge a minor purpose at all to the grand, you know, overarching story
Well
of the three-parter aside from, you know, seeing Good and Ziggy's their
well, that's
backstory.
like
That's
that's
really
like the
it though.
whole thing.
Kind of, but I mean, the whole Good storyline was explained in 1666 about how all the heirs, or not the heirs, but like, you know, the timeline of the Goods were doing this. So that whole explanation of just him as a kid didn't even need to happen because it didn't
That's
really even get explained in 1978. You
I
just
mean, fair, but, like, how did, Brendan, maybe you know, how did R.L. Stein write it, you know?
well, we're not going off that
Uh,
though. We're not going off the books. We're going off of, you know, the movies. So
I mean, I
well,
guess I guess that's fair.
I'm pretty sure that this I don't remember these Fear Street books, specifically, but I'm pretty sure this is more of a loose interpretation, just with RL's Mr. Stein's blessing.
Okay. Well,
Um,
I mean, at at the end of it all, 1666, I thought it wrapped it up in a little bow at the end. I think it was a fine ending, as fine as you could end a 3-part movie series in a Netflix thing. I don't think it ended bad. Um, it didn't do anything for me, and I would even probably change the order of which movies I like more. But, there tangent aside, there is one thing I was kinda confused about. What's with all the clocks in Ziggy's house? Was that ever
She
explained?
keeps yeah, in the second in 1978, right? That's yeah. Um, it's explained that she's, like, constantly keeping track of time. I don't remember why at this moment, but I know that that happened. Like, when Dina and her brother and whoever else was with them, I think Sam, when she was possessed, when they first find her, she was, like, keeping track of all of the clocks and, like, alarms, and I don't remember why, but it was talked about.
Okay. Yeah, I just my second viewing, I was watching it again, and I was just like, "Did I miss something in the first 2?" Or I had no idea what was happening with
It
those
was
clocks thing.
really brief when they brought it up, like, it was, like, maybe 5 minutes worth of, like, explanation, but then they never talk about it again, so
Um,
consistency is key, right?
yeah, apparently not in these fucking movies.
There
Um,
there was a question that I had also. I was wondering if someone could maybe, uh, help me out with this. Um, at the end of 1994, Nick Good slips a note through Ziggy's door that says, I'm pretty sure it says, like, "It's happening again," or something
Yeah.
along the lines of that, but he's the one causing it.
how do
We know
you
now he's the one causing it, so why would he reach out to Ziggy to let her know that it's happening again?
well,
Was it
was it
explicitly
confirmed
him?
that Nick Good was him? Yeah, like, was it confirmed that he dropped the letter?
I thought so, yeah, because he drives isn't it? Because she calls the police station and says, "Give me
Oh,
Nick
it's
Good."
yeah, yeah, it's because she doesn't know that it's him.
That yeah, oh,
That's what I would
totally,
assume
yeah.
because, you
But
know,
why would he still take the time out of his day to
To warn
go?
her.
Yeah.
because she's gonna find out anyway. Like,
Oh, so,
like, if that stuff's
so
like, she keeps timers, remember? Like, we don't exactly remember why, but she
yeah.
has multiple clocks, multiple alarms for different things so that she'll know if and when the witch comes back.
So
So,
he's playing the a literal devil's advocate,
I guess, yeah,
or
literally.
angel's advocate, I guess, since it's reversed.
I'm just gonna chalk it up to it's an inconsistency in the movie.
I mean, yeah, that
I
totally
mean,
was probably what it is. But
but I mean, yeah, that would be the only what Georgie said would be the only, like, plausible kind of, like, explanation that makes sense, I guess.
if
Because
it's
I can't
consistent, which it's not, you know.
or if it's not confirmed that it's him, what if it's, um, the killer's what's the young killer's name that sings the song?
Lane,
Ruby Lane.
yeah.
What if it's Lane's mom, the one that she gives the thing to at the end of part 2, 1994? Can it be her that drops the note in? Because she's at the end of 1994
Yeah,
part 2,
yeah.
and Ziggy and her, like, kinda have that moment at the end where,
Oh, yeah,
she goes to her
maybe.
house. So, like, what if it's her that's warning her? I don't know,
No,
because
Maybe.
that's a good point.
I just don't remember Good headed to the house to do that, but that just could be my memory. I haven't seen 1994 in a couple weeks now. Um,
There
so we
oh,
gotta
sorry.
no, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say there is another thing I wanted to bring up. For the 3rd movie in a row, we have teenagers doing hardcore drugs again.
Berries, dude, fucking
The
looking for
the
drugs in the
dr
1666.
drug berries. Like, again, I don't know what this series is trying to say about peer pressure and drug use with teenagers, but again, it is a rated R movie, so it's technically supposed to be for people, you know, 17 years of age and older, and I think that's just a weird thing that they're trying to throw in there that again, and I said this I think in both the last 2 episodes, it would have been better if they either, went full out with trying to do some commentary or just leaving it out in general.
Yeah, they keep brushing over that. Like, I was gonna actually bring that up, but you just did. So, like, yeah, the whole thing about the drugs and the berries goes to your point that you made, I think, last episode. Or was it the first one? I think it was the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, they just keep beating us over the head with that, and they take it absolutely nowhere.
I
They don't
think
go
it's
anywhere with it.
I feel like it's just because the cliche in slasher movies where teens are getting high and fucking getting drunk and fucking. So that's the least the way I would take it. Is it responsible? No. Do they care? No. It's Hollywood.
Just again, just replicating so many things that have done before. This movie is just too unoriginal. Um, was so I have another question for you guys. I'll direct this towards you, Georgie. If you were making a pact with Satan and the devil, and you could have, I don't know, anything you want, right? Why in God's name would you choose to be a sheriff of the smallest town in the United States? Why would that be your end all be all?
I mean, I wouldn't choose that, but given that that's where the fucking, like, emblem and, like, the devil's mark or whatever you wanna call it was, I feel like he had to stay there. Maybe that's the highest he could go in that town was to be sheriff, but I don't know. Um, I wouldn't want that at all. That would literally be, like, my last wish is to be a cop, sorry. A detective, that might be kinda cool, but, like, I would still be a cop, so no thanks. I'm good. Thank you, Satan. Goodbye, good luck.
Brendan, what would you if you made a pact with the devil, what would be your end goal? Like what would you like you have 2 wishes. This guy grants you 2 wishes and you just killed 10 people. What are you getting out of this?
Okay, well, first of all, ACAB. Uh, Second of all, my
Yes.
God, when my mom listens to this, she's gonna kill us. No,
Oh,
uh,
man. Oh, man.
I I mean, I I agree. I think that it's such a weird flex that he's just like, "I'm gonna be the sheriff of this town," but also at the same point, he has a lot of power, both supernaturally and, you know, literally. Um, so I guess I can I've never had power in my life, but I would assume that if I had some sort of power, that would feel pretty good. So I just think that I can I guess I can sympathize with the plight's not the right word, but I guess the thought of having a shit ton of power and just, keeping it small town, keeping it local so that everything is literally in the palm of your hand. I think I could understand how that would be appealing.
Yeah. I
Uh,
I I get that. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on this movie, but
Little dick. Nick
that's
Good has
another
a little dick, that's all we gotta know.
Little Dick Nick.
That's what he coulda asked for
little
was a
dick
bigger
Nick.
dick, like, "Lucifer, please give me some larger junk," and he said, "No, sir, you're gonna be a cop," and he was like,
You're gonna be a
"Ah,
cop.
shit."
I just couldn't get behind the motivation of the villain in this movie at all. Like, granted, he's only the villain in like the last 40 minutes of the movie, but I couldn't care about it at all, like whatsoever. Like I couldn't even try to give it an ounce of caring. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was so wild that Dina literally stabbed him in the eye and suffered 0 consequences. Like, she literally murdered the cop, like, the sheriff. Somehow, he was suspected of being the serial killer, but, like, truthfully, how would that ever have, like, panned out that way? Like, there was no evidence that led back to him other than the word of Dina, and she is in high school. Like, no offense, but nobody in, like, real life would have believed her. They would have been like, "Sis, you're going to jail, like, prison for life." So, yeah, I literally did not give a shit. I was like, "Damn, sucks because, like, you and Ziggy were cute, but, like, you're a piece of shit, and men only want one thing, and I guess it's Satan." So
that's actually a really good point. I never even thought about that, about how they would pin it on him. There's like literally no evidence.
literally, like, at the end, like, when the newscaster was like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah," I was like, "Why are Dina" okay, first of all, Dina is just, like, openly skipping school in, like, the last, like, 10, 15 minutes to go get burgers and, like, pay, like, respects to Sarah Fear, which I respect, that's dope, like, the way that the Sarah Fear storyline ended, how she was not even a fucking witch, like, period, she did not make a deal with the devil. Listeners, if you haven't watched it, I don't know what's happening, like, I don't know what you're doing, but
Listeners, if you're listening to part 3 of this trilogy cast and you haven't seen the first 2 movies, you're kinda stupid. That's all I'm gonna say.
Whoa,
Go
alright,
ahead.
let's be nice, alright? We're all
I'm just kidding. We all love you.
yeah, okay, um, yeah, so is they literally skip school, which is like, not realistic. If you skip school, an officer would be after your ass, but I guess you killed him, so maybe not. And then at the end, what's her brother's name again? I'm so sorry. I know it's Benjamin Flores, right?
Josh.
Junior?
Josh?
Josh, yeah. He talks to that girl that ended up being like the
That was so
IMer.
cute.
It was cute, but guess what, Brendan? Inconsistencies. She talks about SSIDs or whatever, right? And those aren't invented. Shut up, Kyle. Those those aren't invented SSD, I'm sorry, until late 95, bitch. They didn't exist in 1994, so suck on that.
So
Maybe
I'm
she
she
was just
sorry,
created the
R.L.
SSD?
Stein.
maybe she was just that smart.
Yeah,
She
sh
created
she created
SSDs.
the SSD.
What's her name?
Uh,
Who knows?
oh,
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, do I believe that a woman is capable of that? Absolutely. Do I think that that's what these movie makers planned? No.
So what do you guys think of, the comic relief Martin?
I
The
loved
introduction of
him. Oh
Martin?
my god, I loved him. I
I I
literally wrote that in my notes.
I wanted him and Ziggy to end up together.
That would've been awesome.
Not not
I w
not that people have to end up with each other to be happy and have a good life. I just thought that they shared a couple scenes together, and I thought they were super cute. Um,
Yeah,
I wish
he was
that Martin
hilarious.
I wish the Martin had been Dina the whole movie series. That would've made it
Yes.
so much better.
Dude, the cast, I'm telling you, just changing out a few cast members could have drastically changed the whole outcome of this trilogy.
Dude, Martin was
Um,
absolutely hilarious. I'm actually really glad that you brought him up because I just thought he was a gem, a true shining star of the film.
I thought it was really fucked up when Martin found, the spray paint supply that Nick Good had, and
yeah,
and Martin's like, "Oh my god, you made a joke about setting me up, but you're actually setting me up."
yeah,
I thought that was kinda poignant, with the climate that we live in,
sure.
and I just thought that that was, like, a really now see, that right there, that's a way that the filmmakers incorporated something and they have it pay off. Why couldn't they have done
I
that with
agree.
the drugs?
And it's subtle too, but it's like it's effective. It's effective. Um, yeah, dude, there was a couple one-liners that Martin had that actually like the one breakthrough parts of the movie where I actually was like fully paying attention was with him, and I feel like he was completely underutilized. Like the fact that he wasn't in more of 1994 Part One, like he should have been a core member of the cast,
Oh,
in my opinion.
completely.
100%.
Like they
Yeah.
added him way too late, and he first of all he jumped like they just roll up to his house and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go kill that cop. You down?" He's like,
He's like,
"Let me get my
"Fuck
jacket or
yeah."
something."
That was
like
awesome.
he should have been a member from the beginning, and
Yeah.
like I think in the middle of 1994 part 1, like when they're in the police station and Josh slips him the thing to pick the lock, I think that should have been the time where they kind of joined up, and like I think that whole thing would
Yeah.
have sped up the process a little bit more and been more interesting in my opinion. But
Damn, that's wild. I actually totally forgot that that happened right now until you mentioned it. Honestly,
um
if they had cast him in some of, like, um, like, the past, movies, like 78 or 66, I feel like I woulda loved that too, honestly.
yeah, yeah, underutilized for sure.
Uh,
What did you guys oh sorry, go ahead.
there were actually 2 other things I wanted to bring up. I put stars next to a lot of stuff for 1666. One of them was when they get back to '94, they have another good old fashioned '90s music montage, and they throw the Offsprings in there, and that was just I I loved that. One one of the other 2 things, so I feel like I'm taking up a lot of time. Um
Not even. Just before you go to the next one though, I love Offspring. Like that's OG Offspring, and I love Offspring, and I love that song. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, it was fantastic. When they transition from 1666 to 1994, I was so caught off guard because, I mean,
Yeah.
I knew that there was another hour left of it, and, they kill Sarah Fear, and I'm like, "What are they gonna do from here?" And then they just jump into 1994 Part 2, and I was like, "Oh my," this is gonna sound so dumb. I started fist pumping.
No.
I
Oh,
I
okay.
I stood up, I started clapping, I was so here for it.
Okay. So,
Um,
before you go to your next
yeah.
thing, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but I'm just kind of piggybacking off what you said. For as much as I'm shitting on the movie, there was some like highlight moments. So that part at the end when Sarah Fear was when she was getting hanged, um that whole scene was really cool to me. I love how the music was building and building and building, and then, like, it was going through, all the things that happened in '78 and all the things that happened in part 194, and, like, it kinda crescendos, and then it cuts, and then it goes boom, part one or, it goes back to 1994, and I agree with you. I got a little bit of tingles when that happened, and it transitioned back to 1994. I was like, "Okay, that was kinda cool. That was done well." I was kinda all on board, and then it kinda dragged, but go ahead.
What Georgie, how did you feel about the transition?
I mean, do you want me to be honest? Do you want me to be nice?
Honest.
Honest?
Okay, I kinda hated it.
Oh,
Like, looking back at it now, when I think about, um, the way that it panned out, I kinda liked it. Like, I don't hate it as much as I did when I first saw it. The music was great, I'm not gonna argue with you there, but it reminded me way too much of, like, back in, like, 2008 or whatever, maybe 2010 when the Simpsons movie came out, and it was like, "To be continued immediately." That's what it reminded me of for some reason, I
mm.
don't really know why. But I was just kinda like, "What is with this loud, vibrant?" Because I was watching it in the dark. I was like, "What is with this transition from, like, here to here?" Like, honestly, even though I know it wouldn't have worked out this way, but I would have appreciated 1666 if it had ended before part 2 of 1994. I feel like I woulda liked it more if they had done, like,
So if it would've been like a four-part series.
yeah, maybe with, like, a mini series at the end, because like, part 2 did not need to be a whole fucking movie, let's be honest. I'm glad that they only made it, like, the last 40 minutes or whatever. But I feel like the way that 1666, like, that time period itself ended rather than the whole film, I really liked the ending of that. But then the transition to me was like, although the music was great, like we already talked about, I couldn't vibe with it. I was just kinda like, "This is, like, a little much." I don't know. It was just obnoxious to me almost.
That's
No,
fair.
that's yeah, yeah, that's completely fair. I kind of agree with you. Like I thought it the 1666 ended so well, and that's what kind of we were talking about. And then it did switch to that part two, and I was actually on board. I was like, okay, let's go, let's do this, let's finish this. And then I checked the time, and I was like, it's still got like an hour left.
Yeah,
I was like,
yes.
there's still an hour left in the movie. What the fuck? Like it felt like the end of the movie, or
Yeah.
like at least like
I thought it
close to
was
the end.
too, but I had already checked, like, maybe 20 minutes before the end of 66, like, and I was like, "Oh, man, there's still so much more left. I know this won't be the end," but I really wanted it to be.
Not too many kills in this movie.
There were
There
12
was
dead children.
Well, we didn't see them though get killed. They
Children
did
are
have
half a person, it doesn't
their little
count.
the goop of eyes on the ground. That was pretty gnarly.
Oh my god,
Bleh.
yeah. Oh, there were
That was
there
kinda
were also some pig babies that got killed.
there
Yes, I wanted to bring that
were
up. That was metal, but also really disgusting and sad.
rip, yeah, for sure. And
Bleh.
then there was Sarah Fear getting her, hand ripped off.
That
Oh,
was
that was
cool.
wild,
That was
dude.
dope. I actually smiled when that happened. I was like, "Yeah."
Alright.
It
You
was pretty
creep.
gnarly. I actually liked it. I was like, "That was so cool."
Oh god. Look, can we just talk
Um,
about what a little bitch Solomon is?
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
He
the whole
was
Good family seems like a bunch of little dicks, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. He was, like, kinda looking like a snack, like a little bit of, like, that one guy from Lord of the Rings. Um, the guy that
Shit. What's his
saves
name?
Frodo at the end.
Strider, whatever his name is. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
him.
He was kinda looking like him, and I was like, "Okay," and then he ended up being a little bitch, and I was like, "Okay." I hated that. That was not, um, good for, anybody that's attracted to men. Uh, so thanks, R.L. Stein, thank you so much.
I have one more question before we kinda wrap things up, and we'll touch on anything that you guys may wanna touch on, but,
Yes, I
how
do.
do I'm still confused how the good family chooses who to
I
possess.
think it's just random. They just choose
But
someone.
Yeah.
why? Like, how do they know these people's names? Like, how does Officer Good in 1994 know Ryan's name? Like, how does he know
He's
some
a
random
cop.
kid named Ryan?
They're
But, like,
they're
why
they're
him?
they're shady siders. They're bad.
But why him? Why that shady cider?
I don't think it really matters, Kyle.
It does to me.
Well, I'm
It does
so
to me.
sorry,
I
but
mean,
that's just Hollywood,
I
baby.
And the
I
fact that it doesn't matter to them makes me not appreciate this movie even more.
no, and I
Maybe
think
they have to choose inconspicuous people.
Brennan,
well,
you were gonna say something.
I mean, honest as much as I've been raving about the linear version of this trilogy, no, you do make a good point. It it brings up one of the things that I think I've all mentioned at one point. This movie is kind of lazy. They make choices without really justifying the reason for these choices. And it's yeah, no, they if there's a reason for them picking the people that they picked, they should have either thrown it in there subtextually somehow, or I would have appreciated it if they just flat out said, "This is why we're picking who we're picking." Um, it's it's inconsistent with the people that they pick and why they pick. I just kind of assumed that they have um, a jar full of pieces of paper with every shady cider's name on it, and they just dig their hand in the fishbowl and pick a name out at random.
Yeah, and knowing they don't do that, just
Yeah,
there's no
that would have
explanation.
been pretty interesting, honestly.
That would've been funny. They coulda added a comedic element to it for sure.
Solomon's like, "Hey, can I just get the town census real quick?"
He's just going through the yellow pages, just like, um do you guys have anything else you wanna kinda bring up or mention?
Yes, I wanna talk about I'm sorry, I got way too excited. Their mother Shrek ass accents in
Mm,
1666. Okay, the whole time I was like, "Michael Myers who?" And I just wanna say that the top review, I'm gonna read it word for word, the top review on IMDb title is, "The invaders in America would have sounded more German." And then it says, "Movie is very good, but those accents can be classified as offensive. The English, in parentheses, who are German related, end parentheses, that went to America would not have spoken like that. Please stop trying to rob the Irish accent. It does not belong to you and never will."
Oh my
I just wanna
god.
say thank you, Gemjo98862 for
damn,
that
calling him out, dude. He's gonna get a bunch of hate mail now.
No, I mean, like, I these accents were awful. They were god awful. I was literally like, somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me because I literally thought I was
Jesus.
watching Shrek. Like, it was Shrek. I'm sorry. Like, I cannot do whatever accent they were trying to do. I wouldn't even try it, to be fair. I would tell my agent, "Listen, ma'am or sir, I can't do this." And then I wouldn't have been in this movie. And they really should have reevaluated, the accents.
They were not the sharpest tools in the shed.
Oh, there's another one. See ya.
No, they
Love
fucking
it.
weren't. They were
Love it.
not. And, the only moment in this film that I was like, "Wow, that's kinda sweet," other than, like, Sarah and Hannah and, like, basically dying for each other even though Hannah didn't die. Uh, she did eventually, but not with, Sarah. Um, it was back when it was in 1994 part 2, and Josh, told Dina about, like, the extra life cheat code hack and how he repeats that out loud every time he wants to feel safe and feel better. I thought that was really cute, especially when he fucking took that knife to the gut for his sister. I was like, "Bitch, okay, I see you, I see you." I thought that was a really cute moment, but other than that, I was ready for this trilogy to be over.
Me too. And I mean, just as a side note, yeah, if Kiana can't act with her first language, it's obviously going to be apparent that she can't act with
Well, I mean,
second language. So
none of them had a good accent, really, to be absolutely fair. And am I blaming them? No, I'm not great at accents either, but, like,
I'm blaming them
also
because they're getting paid a lot of money to learn
it's
these accents. So
that's fair. There was one other moment that I really liked just because it reminded me of Twilight. Um, when all of the killers were after uh, I think Ziggy, when she got her blood, Dina's blood all over her on accident, when Dina, like, cut herself open so that they could smell her fresh blood, I was like, "Damn, okay, Bella Swan, I see you." But that was it. That was, like, the shining gem of the movie for me.
Brendan, at the end of the movie, when all the killers just start hacking at each other, if there was a battle royale with these killers, who would win and why?
Um, I'm going to say Ruby Lane, just because she gives off bad bitch vibes, and yeah, I think that she would just fuck everyone up with that razor blade, or the straight razor.
Yeah, she seems like she would play dirty for sure.
Oh, yeah, in the
Interesting.
best possible way.
In the best possible way.
Alright, y'all need to calm down.
Okay. Do you guys have anything else to note before we go into our reviews?
There were just 2.5 super quick things that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of already talked about when they switched to 94, the music switches back to being good music. There's the montage of them setting up the mall, and it's, all in black light and stuff, great music. Um, One of the things is they spray paint a bunch of words on the wall, and one of the words is scumbag. And there's the only time you see the word scumbag is in a scene with Gillian Jacobs, and she's standing center frame, and the right side of the frame, her head is covering up the S of scumbag, so it just says cumbag.
No, good,
And
I'm
and
so
it's there for
glad.
about 20 seconds, and the very last second of the shot, they move the camera so you can see the S, so you can see it says scumbag. I just thought that was an interesting way to get around the censors. Yeah, the only last thing that I had to
Wait,
say.
so you think hold on, wait, you can't just,
Oh,
like, go over that real quick. Hold on, let's back up. Let's back up, reverse. So you think they did that intentionally?
oh my god, yeah. It
Dude, come back, are you
it
kidding
it's
me?
Come back.
like, anyone looking at that shot, whether your mind is dirty or not, if if you strategically place someone in the shot so all you see is someone's face and then "come bag," I feel like that's a bit intentional.
I didn't even notice, but now I'm gonna immediately go
Yeah,
back
I
and, like,
definitely did
and
not
check that out
notice
before.
that.
Yeah.
Um, there were a few things I wanted to bring up.
Well, Brendan
Um
had one more.
oh,
Hold
yeah,
on.
no,
Yeah,
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 go
the
ahead,
the the
Brendan.
very last one, in the first or in one of the episodes, I talked about my adornment, how much I love Gillian Jacobs, just not to sound objectionist or anything, but just seeing Gillian Jacobs in a neon pink shirt in black light firing a gun, ooh, I
Yeah.
I that's
Ooh.
like, checks boxes that I didn't even know needed to be checked. Um,
Alright. A
so
blood gun, to be fair.
yes, yes.
Um
Yeah, a blood gun. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's pretty fucking metal.
So that's all
So
I had.
I just wanna say there were some terms that were thrown around in, 1666 that I don't even think were really like, was bacon in 1666? Can anybody fact check that? Because I feel like it wasn't.
I'm on it.
Thank you. All right.
One,
While
two.
you look that up, there was one other thing that I wanted to. Oh, there were some really good nature shots for 1666 that I really appreciated. Whether it was like a top-down view or whatever, there was some really good camera shots from that. And then finally, um, do you guys remember right before Dina so lovingly went down on Sam in 1666, which I don't remember which one of you it was that was talking about how, like, this is like a intro film, it didn't really, like, cross any boundaries. I agree, but, like, also watching a woman perform fellatio/cunnilingus, slash cunnilingus, whatever you wanna call it, to another woman is, like, pretty intense. It's
Oh,
much
yeah.
more than I ever saw on Friday the 13th, but like, more power to them. It didn't bother me at all, but I was like, I don't know if I agree that this movie was, like, not super intense on the visuals, because oh my god, but,
Was not
um,
expecting that whatsoever.
not at all,
Yeah, they
no.
leaned kinda hard into that scene.
Wait, what?
I said they leaned kinda hard into
Oh,
that
Oh.
scene.
I I think I thought you said something very different.
I did too. I did too. I was like, Kyle, please stop. Your mother could listen to this." Alright. Anyway, moving on. Um, what the fuck was I saying? I don't even I'm so taken aback that I don't even
I
remember
just
now.
wanna note that well into the 16th century, the Middle English term for bacon was in fact bacon, and it referred to the butt of the pork, of the pig.
Ah,
So,
is
yes,
that what bacon is now?
I'm assuming? I don't
I
know.
I I also did a quick search, and I found out that it also used to be called Fitch.
Mm.
Interesting. Okay, well, like, she said bacon, and I was like, "I don't think y'all know what bacon is." Um
Well, you're wrong, Georgie. She
No,
does
well,
know what
yeah,
bacon is.
apparently I was wrong. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Dina. That when, fucking Hannah, AKA Sam, was being hit on by that one guy, and he was, like, literally, like, trying to, like, whatever the fuck to her, I don't even
And
remember. He was
I
being gross.
and he gets hard, and
She
they show it.
Yes! That was so nasty. But Um, when Dina punched him, d I don't know if you guys even realized or recognized this, but when she punched him, they played, like, a stock sound of a gasp that, like, any TV show, movie, anything has. Like, was such a cliche gasp from, like, multiple people. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you ever heard that?
I'm
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I know
think
what you're
so.
talking about, yeah, but I
Oh my
didn't
god.
recognize it.
They played that gasp, and I lost it. I thought that was so funny because, like, people in 1666, I don't think they would've sounded like that when they gasp. I don't even think they would know how to gasp, you know? And I can't offend anybody by saying that because nobody's alive anymore from
Well,
1666.
you already said that all the people in 1666 sounded like Shrek, so I think you offended everybody enough, so
I also wanted to say one last thing. Men from 1666 are fucking nasty. Take a shower. All right. Thank you.
on that note, we're gonna get to our ratings here. Um, final thoughts and ratings. Um, Georgie, we're gonna start with you. Final thoughts on 1666, just 1666 right now, and then we're gonna go into like the whole trilogy as a whole afterwards. But what is your percentage and final thoughts on 1666?
Final thoughts. Honestly, a little disappointed. Um, I mean, I think it like tied everything together in like a neat little package at the end, but I kind of wanted more. I really liked the way that the Sarah Fear story ended, but the thing is that, like, from part 1 to part through part 3 until part 2 of 1994, which is technically part of part 3, um, it was literally all about Sarah Fear and her being the witch and, like, the supposed accused, cursor of, Shady Side and all this kinda stuff, and, like, At the end of it all, you find out that, like, that's not even the case.
It's some small dick cop. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, fucking Lil Dick Nick, and it's just that to me was just, like, such although I was relieved for Sarah, I was also like, "What was the point?" Like, "Why did you put me through all of this to find out that it literally had nothing to do with her other than the fact that she was trying to tell people the truth," you know? Um, so for 1666, honestly, I give it a 66%.
Okay. And that was well said, Georgie. I mirror a lot of what you just said. So, Brendan, final thoughts and percentage.
Um, so I finally figured out what the movies feel like to me, and it feels like a PG-13 Blumhouse movie.
Mm,
Sans the girl on girl head. Um, I think that I'd have to give 1666 an 85.
okay. I almost mirror Georgie to a T. I can't really say it any better than she said because I feel like it was a buildup for nothing. And the ride wasn't that exciting to begin with. So I was hoping for a bigger payoff. And that payoff was even worse than the ride. So, um, will I watch these movies ever again? Probably not. Am
No.
I am I angry that I watched them? No.
Mm.
They were fine. They were fine movies. I'm glad I threw them in my you know,
S
file of cinema of things I put behind me now, but
So you
I'll
wouldn't add them to your watch list?
no. And if they came out on like Blu-ray or something like a physical copy, I probably would never buy them.
No, I would not add them to my watch list or purchase them. What about you, Brendan?
Oh, hell yeah. I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
But that being said, I think I like 1666 the least. Um and it made me it took the sales out of 78 for me as well. So it kind of not only did it not live up to the other two, but it also kind of brought down one of the other two that I liked the most. I'm gonna give this movie a 64%. So that being said, we have a Ruminations of Redrum rating for Fear Street Part 3, 1666, being a 71%, which is way too high. Um, but okay, so let's talk about the trilogy as a whole real quick. If you have any final thoughts on the trilogy, cool. If you don't, that's fine too. Um, Georgie, did any of the other movies change for you? Are you good? Are you solid? Is it all kind of just the way it is? Chew.
Um, I don't know. I still think that 78 is the shining, shimmering gem out of all of these. If you're gonna watch any of them, honestly, just watch 78 and live with the curiosity of whatever the fuck happens in the other ones. That's really all I can tell you. Does that really change my rating on it? Not really. I would say that all my ratings are kind of the same. Um, but yeah, just watch 1978. That's it. That's all you need.
Brendan?
Yeah, so 1666 by itself, is where I derived my 85 from. Uh,
That's a
7
really high score.
yeah, uh, 78, I'm gonna shoot that one up to an 85 if I'm thinking of it
Whoa.
chronologically. And then factoring in 1994 Part 1 and Part 2, and I feel like people are gonna distrust my taste in movies now, but I'm gonna bump that up. Fear Street, 94 in Part 1 and 2, I'm gonna go for a 96.
Damn. Okay, now that's just changing them in your head in retrospect now, but we're not officially changing those ratings, just letting you
Correct,
know.
correct,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
just don't want people to think that I have trashy taste in movies now,
I mean, fuck them. Who cares?
right?
Okay, so that being said, uh, the Ruminations of Redrum Fear Street trilogy has a Redrum score of 74%. The Fear Street trilogy is at
Oh.
74% on the Redrum rating.
I think that's
Um,
fair.
Let's give it, can we give it, like, at least a 75?
no.
Okay, well
And I'll tell you why, because you guys gave these ratings too, so it's already in the bag. All right. Well, let's see. On that note, this has been another episode of Ruminations of Redrum, the demon spawn of the Ruminations Radio Network. If
Oh
you like what we're
god.
doing here, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Ruminations of Redrum and on Twitter at of Redrum. That's OF Redrum. And please subscribe on iTunes or Spotify and make sure you hit us up with a review and give us a rating. That being said, I'm your host, Kyle. With a K, we have the final girl, Georgie.
Thanks for listening, y'all. Definitely watch part 2. That's about it. Thank you.
And we have the new blood, Brennan.
Get vaccinated and wear a mask.
Yes.
And I have two things for you. One, we are the sharpest tools in the shed.
Hey.
And two, stay spooky.